There's something definitely good happening in India's affordable housing. The government seems to be on its way to meet the target set for urban housing of 1 crore homes by 2022. In fact, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development figures show that as of this week, the government has already sanctioned 69 lakh homes under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, that's PMAY. Out of these, more than half are already under construction, and about 14 lakh homes have been delivered to people who need them. Today on Urban Reality, we delve a little deeper to see what these numbers mean. Where are these homes really being constructed, and who are the people who are really benefiting from this housing for all push? Before we deep dive into our discussion with our experts, let's get the perspective of the man behind the PMAY numbers, Housing and Urban Affairs Secretary, Durga Shakarvish. So thank you very much for joining us. Well, numbers are looking really good, but if I decode them further, it seems that out of the 69 lakh homes sanctioned under PMAY, most of them have been sanctioned in 2018. I mean, is there some sort of a hurry to reach that 1 crore target before we hit the election season, sir?
Well, that is not true. I mean, the sanction in most sanctions have accelerated from 2017-18 and 18-19. I mean, not only last 1 year. In the last 2 years, the sanction have been like last year we sanctioned almost like 27 lakhs. This again we have crossed that number. So it is slowly, I mean, it is started because the scheme was sanctioned in June 2015, and you know, credit link subsidy scheme came slightly later, almost 6 months later. So credit link subsidy scheme mostly had picked up after June 2017, but other schemes also, it took some time before the states started planning, and now we are getting almost like every month. I sanction now 3 to 4 lakhs houses every month.
Okay. The other thing that I noticed, sir, that majority of these 69 lakh homes have been sanctioned under the beneficiary-led program, which means people who already, or families who already own a piece of land or already have a house and are extending it. This essentially means that most of these homes are in tier 2, tier 3 cities, because in tier 1, people don't own land.
Well, this is not area of concern. This is correct, yes. Out of the total 69 lakhs houses, nearly 38 lakhs, which is 55%, is beneficiary-led construction. Why is that? Because most of these people who have been living in the urban areas, they own some land, but housing is not adequate. Maybe they don't have the toilet, they don't have enough space, living area, kitchen and all those facilities are not there. So they would like to upgrade their houses, and maybe the family has become bigger and they want to have another floor on the upper floor. So like that, I mean, this has been the most popular across the country. But the next one is the affordable housing in partnership, which is nearly 23 lakhs, constituting 33%. You see, this is like government giving a land, and on that land they are making multi-storied building for providing housing, affordable housing to the individuals, which is quite popular. I mean, especially in southern states is quite popular, and I started also catching up in the northern state. They have come out with a due policy. There we also invite public-private partnership, because there are two kinds of things. One is the government land on which the private party makes a this thing and provides housing to the affordable housing, or private land on which they make housing and they provide to the affordable housing to the individuals. So this is two. The third is in situ slum redevelopment. That also we have crossed 4.5 lakhs, nearly 7%. And in situ slum redevelopment, some of the states like Gujarat has done really very well. Gujarat, then Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha. Many states are doing quite well, and this is all catching up. This is one area which we have laid a good emphasis, because this also cleans up the city.
Are you at all worried about the in-situ development numbers, sir? That's only at about 7%. I mean, that's where the big chunk of city dwellers reside in, let's say, a Mumbai or even a Delhi.
Well, in the state of Maharashtra, I have the number. Maharashtra in situ slum redevelopment total number has gone up recently, and this is catching up. So this is catching up.
So Niti Aayog came out with a report saying that the biggest problem of creating an affordable housing stock in big cities, the top 7 or 8, is that land is very expensive. They've also gone on record to say that public sector land which is lying unutilized should be brought in to the stock of affordable housing. What's your view?
Yes, we are coming up with a new policy on how to use the CPSE's land, which is unused. I mean, especially those CPSEs which are getting winded up, or in there, how that land can be used. But also, we have, you may be aware that last year we changed the definition from the urban local bodies to the development area. And that way, such area which has been earmarked for the future development, there also such housing can come up. And there the cost of land is much lesser than that in the core city.
So let's come to your New Year gift to middle income group families, which is extension of the CLSS scheme for MIG 1 and 2. Now, when we started out with this scheme, the government said we are setting aside 1,000 crore for it. Today, you've already crossed a number of 2,000 crore. Why do you think that middle income group still needs that credit subvention support from the government?
See, MIG is, these are the young professionals coming in the urban areas and taking up jobs, different kinds of jobs, and they need housing. So these are the professionals whose annual income is up to 18 lakhs rupees. I mean, the 18 lakhs is like 1.5 lakhs per month, or more than 9 lakhs, more like 75,000 rupees plus. So this category of people, when they come to the cities and they are working in, say, IT sector, in various development activities, or in the startup business, so they need good housing. And this was the announcement by Honorable Prime Minister in December 2016, that he will also like to add the middle income group. The progress initially was not good, but now it has picked up so well that 1.05 lakhs houses have been given so far. So seeing the progress and seeing the demand from the field, from the states, and also for the banks, because that there is very good turnout in the banks, the government has decided to extend this to March 2020.
So we've also heard that in several states, public land has been used to create multi-storied affordable housing stock, but there are several of these locations which are actually have no takers. There are vacant homes lying even in the affordable category.
Well, this is not, you see, this issue is like this. See, under the JNNURM, the erstwhile Urban Renewal Mission, there were housing schemes, and large number of houses were lying vacant, because there the beneficiaries were decided later. And all the facilities, you see, unless and until you have proper sanitation, water, electricity, all these facilities are there, people would not like to move in. So when we started in 2014, we had almost 5.5 lakhs houses which are lying vacant. But more than 3.5 lakhs houses have been completed, and they are, they have all been occupied. And others also, we have been pressing with the state government so that they complete these houses, make it habitable, and allotted to the Prime Minister Awas Yojana beneficiaries.
Okay, so you're saying 1 crore homes will most likely get sanctioned by 2020, which is 2 years before the deadline. But how many do you think are going to get completed? Because right now, if I look at the completion number, that's only 14% of the target, 14 lakhs.
Oh, it is, you see, let me put it this way. Credit linked subsidy scheme, the moment the bank finalizes the house, it gets to the beneficiary right away, so there is not time lag. Beneficiary led constructions, it normally takes less than 1 year. Normally he constructs the house, it takes after we sanction. We know the beneficiary, and every house is DBT, direct benefit transfer. We have Aadhaar link, we have the account number, we are directly passing the money ourselves, and also the state government are passing the money to the beneficiary. So this also gets completed in around 10 to 12 months. The other two, that is in situ slum redevelopment and affordable housing in partnership, they normally take 2 to 3 years. Why? Because once we sanction, then after that they have to go for DPR, they have to go for tendering and then finalizing this thing. So this process itself takes around 6 to 8 months. And then after they ground it, because after this phase leg of 6 to 9 months, and then they ground it, it takes around 18 months to complete this whole housing thing. So there, I mean, you see the total number we have grounded so far is 37 lakhs. So, and the way we are going, I mean, I'm very sure even by end of March, we will have another 10 lakhs houses will be completed. And in next 6 months, the way things are going on, I mean, I'll expect, say, around 15 lakhs or so houses will be completed.
Now, those were the views of the Secretary of Housing. Now, let's get independent experts to tell us what's behind these numbers. With me today, PK Gupta, Managing Director, Retail and Digital Banking, SBI. We also have with us Jun Shang, Country Head, India for IFC. Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani, Co-founder and MD of Hiranandani Group. And with us, Gaurav Karnik, National Leader, Real Estate Practice, EY India. So the data is looking very, very interesting. Quite strong. So my first question is for the gentleman or the organization which has put in quite a substantial amount of investment behind private developers when it comes to affordable housing. Mr. Shang, what's your view? I mean, by 2022, it seems that we will actually have no family in urban India without a roof. But is it really so?
Yes. The government program, this Housing for All by 2022, is a very ambitious program, very inspirational. The challenge is very high. We did some estimation. Every 10 million units of low-income housing being built, just talking about the low-income housing segment, that would be equivalent to about $400 billion US dollars, the amount of the investment that is required. To put that in a context, that amount is similar to the annual budget of the union government. That's the entire amount that government is spending. So you can imagine the kind of a challenge there. And obviously, you know, challenges are also opportunities. Now you have this market of $400 billion of a market and to take advantage of.
Gaurav Karnik, what is your sense? I mean, according to this data, if the government said that, look, we've done our survey, it's really 10 million people in urban centers or 1 crore people who need a roof over their heads, and we'll make sure this number is reached, we should really have nobody without a roof over their heads by 2022. But that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you know, making these houses is quite a challenge because one, the availability of land is a big issue, especially in the urban places. So getting to that number, building those houses is going to be difficult. But it's very impressive that the numbers which they have come up with, which they have, is showing that they've made significant progress. But I think you know, they'll need further push from the government side to kind of construct this, because it's not easy for private developers to really get into this segment. The land availability not being easy, the pricing also being quite low. Okay. I think we'll need further support from the government. And to that extent, I think the government has been pretty proactive in sanctioning funds and trying to send money into the state governments to kind of disperse that, and also monitoring the state government's progress on these plans.
All right. Mr. Gupta, if I'm looking at the breakup of the overall sanctions, 55% of the sanctioned amount under PMAY has gone to beneficiary-led construction. Therefore, it means that people who already have land or already have a home and now want to extend it have got maximum of the funding under PMAY, which essentially then translates to the fact that most of this construction or the monies have gone to Tier 2, Tier 3 and Tier 4 urban centers, isn't it? What about the shortage in big cities or top 8 cities of urban India?
See, look at it this way, that initially when this scheme was announced, actually the reconstruction was not allowed. It was only for the new houses. But you know, there was a very large section of people who already had their houses which were not fit enough, and they wanted to expand it, undertake some reconstruction so that they could also take advantage of it, and this was subsequently allowed. But I think if you look at only in terms of even the new constructions that are happening and the new loans that are getting sanctioned, there is a very large section of people who have been taking advantage of this. Last year there was a function where in fact the State Bank of India was given the award for having financed the maximum number of beneficiaries under the MIG scheme. So what this scheme really does is it enables a lot of people who have been thinking of buying an affordable house but were not really very sure whether they could afford it or not. It actually prompted them to look at what kind of subsidy is available and whether they can take advantage of it, and it prompted them to go for houses actually which otherwise they might not have thought of. I think this has been probably one of the most ambitious and successful schemes of the banks. For the banks, the challenge was, how do you educate the customers? How do you tell the customers that this scheme is available? How much benefit they can get out of it? Again, work with the builders who have actually come up with a lot of products which are specially, targeted at this end itself, so that anybody who buys a home in those projects, so they will automatically be available, they can get benefit of this, provided they meet the income criteria.
Okay.
The government, again, has been very proactive in relaxing criteria wherever necessary, and the banks have definitely played a very big role in seeing the success of this scheme.
Okay, so 5% of the entire sanction under PMAY has gone into CLSS, and I think, Mr. Gupta, that's the amount that banks have played a very proactive role in getting dispersed. Now, my question is that banks such as you, SBI, HDFC, has it gone for middle income, MIG 1 and 2, or have you actually sanctioned loans for EWS and LIG category? What has been the breakup? If you can just give us a rough sense of what that breakup has been. Because essentially MIG was a second stage thought that we'll extend the CLSS to MIG as well. Initially under PMAY, it was all meant for EWS and LIG segments.
I think if I look at my numbers for this first 9 months, actually, I have about 10,000 loans that have been sanctioned under the lower category, and about 14,000 loans which are under the MIG.
Mr. Hiranandani, very interestingly, so the opportunity that everyone talks about is $400 billion US. There is World Bank and IFC, which has already committed $1 billion and saying that we will bring in $1 billion more. But if I look at the number of affordable houses, and here I'm not even talking about LIG, EWS alone, I'm talking about under 40 lakh rupee homes. And if I see 2017 and 2018 figures, I mean, less than 3 lakh of these homes have been actually launched by private developers. There are 8 schemes out there from the government for private partnerships. Yet the private sector isn't that enthusiastic about affordable housing in India yet.
Manisha, I disagree there. I think the private sector has a big role to play. And the government did realize that the private sector was needed. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given the scheme to the private sector at all if they thought that there is no necessity of the private sector to participate. Yes, it has taken a longer period of time for the projects to take off. Remember, after the scheme was announced, people have had to redesign their buildings, redesign their layouts, get the sanction of the buildings as per the new requirements of the government in terms of the scheme, and then put it across and put it into the marketplace, register under RERA, and then come into the marketplace. So it does take some period of time before they can actually reach that level of aspiration which gets recorded with the NHP or with the banking and financial institutions. But I can assure you that we ourselves believe that more than 1 lakh houses will get registered in the next 1 year, that is 2019, even in the private sector. That is what an assessment of NAREDCO has been, that you will get 1 lakh houses minimum in the private sector, which will go under both these categories of housing that are going to take place in the private sector. However, we cannot match the government's push which has taken place, because those lands were already available with the government, and the local authorities have been further subsidizing the price of land, which is not possible for the private sector person to do.
Let's take a quick short break. When we come back, we'll also try and understand where is this housing stock getting created. Yes, tier 2, tier 3 cities, they need homes as well. Families, they need homes as well. But what about economic hubs? The key shortage remains there. Are we being able to make them? And are we creating housing stock where there are no takers? That's also another big question, because there are reports that even in the affordable category, about 2 lakh homes are still unoccupied across the country. Stay with us. 69 lakh homes under PMAY have been sanctioned. This is an investment which is 10 times more in the last 4 years alone. than in the years of UPA government between 2004 and 2014. That's the reason why this government is very confident it will meet its target of urban housing of 1 crore by 2022. In fact, they're saying that 1 crore homes will be sanctioned by 2020. Mr. Hiranandani, I'm going to come to you. Now, the fact that 55% of these homes which have been sanctioned under PMAY are beneficiary-led makes us believe that they're mostly in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. The shortage in Tier 1 cities, especially close to the economic hubs, how do we fulfill that, sir?
That is certainly a challenge. We have been talking about this for a long period of time. But Manisha, look at it. On the peripheral areas in the MMR region and other places, the work in this sector has already started. If you see Vasai Virar, if you see Karjat and other places at the extended tip of the MMR region, we do find that a large number of housing are being constructed in this sector. So it's not devoid of it, but you're right, you're 100% right, that the city centers and close by to the city centers where the need for EWS and other thing is very large is still not being satisfied.
Mr. Gupta, I'm going to come back to you, sir. There's, interestingly, even Niti Aayog has said that, look, land has to be made available. Mr. Durga Shankar Mishra said that ministry is preparing a white paper with all the land within PSUs and even state governments which can be used. But let's move to a very interesting thing which happened at New Year. MIT scheme, CLSS, when it started, it was 1,000 crore was set aside for it, sir. Right now, we are sitting on a number of 2,000 crore of subsidy already been extended, and now it's been further extended for a year. Seems that the government is quite determined to, rev up sales in the market, especially because this is a private sector dominated middle income segment. Do you think that it's helping, sir?
No, I believe this extension in the time has happened mainly because there are a lot of projects which are still under construction. There are a lot of builders who have come up with special projects, particularly which are aimed at this scheme. And, there is a market out there. And I think there are people who have been looking to take advantage of this. They have probably been searching for homes. So I think this 1 year extension really gives people another opportunity to be able to take advantage of this. There are a lot of applications which have been lying with the banks which are under process. So it will help all of them. I think this extension would be good. I don't think that this is because of, not having met some targets or some issues with the implementation of the scheme. I think not only the banks, I think most of the housing finance companies, all the NBFCs who have been operating under this scheme have done substantial investment in being able to make this available to their customers. The system-led enablements have been done, a lot of workshops have been done. So I think this 1 year extension will help to allow everybody to take advantage of this, whoever is eligible actually. I think
we are not complaining, sir, at all. Yeah. I mean, these are for young families earning between 6 lakhs and 18 lakhs. Clearly, if they can get a little bit of helping hand to buy their first home in a urban center close to an economic zone, this is good for the economy as a whole. Mr. Shang, any ideas? I mean, you're saying that it's a $400 billion opportunity, but I mean, government seems to be very close to its target of meeting that 1 crore number. Beyond that, what should India be doing when it comes to making sure that every family has a roof over their head?
I can take on this one. The opportunity is big, but the challenge is also big. $400 billion, as I pointed out, even the union government wanted to, can they put in the entire year of a budget just to do the low-income housing? Clearly it's not. So this is not just a financing issue. In that regard, I think the government has done a lot of excellent work.
Very quickly, we've run out of time. Gaurav Kardik, I mean, land we've spoken about, approvals Mr. Shang has spoken about. In fact, Niti Aayog is saying, forget infrastructure status. Why don't you put affordable housing in priority sector lending? That's another thing that the government can do, and very quickly.
Yeah, they can do that. And also, I think from a state government perspective, they could reduce the stamp duty rates on certain types of land. That'll bring more affordability into that. And secondly, I think if you want to make houses happen, maybe introduction of more technology. And somewhere that push into innovation has to be done. I think the government is also working with the various IITs to kind of come up with the right way of making the house. So that will make it much more affordable.
So bring
as
down
well.
the construction
bring down
cost
the construction
as well.
cost.
All right, Mr. Jun Shang, Mr. P.K. Gupta, Gaurav Karnik and Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani, thank you very much for joining me. There's absolutely no denying that the government has managed to reduce the gap in urban housing much more than its predecessor. And, you know, we've shown you all the data there. 10 times more investments have gone into urban housing by this government than UPA 1 and 2 spent in 10 years. Beneficiaries also of interest subvention scheme have been 20 times more. But yes, there's a lot of gap and it doesn't stop here. There'll be new families who will need homes. So there are good suggestions.